Hi, how are you? It's great to see you. I'm Josh Rosowskis. Thank you, as always, for choosing to spend part of your day here with me on YouTube and Facebook. And today, friends, I want to talk about something that we're all feeling, and that is, boy, has this virus caused us to miss being able to go to the movies. So I was thinking about going to the movies, and when you think about going to the movies, you don't just think about going to the movies, you think about your memories associated with going to the movies, especially at a time like now when you can't go to the movies. So I thought, what's a good idea for a video to share with all of you, my friends? So I thought, my very first memories of going to the movies. Now, I could have just simply made this my first memory of going to see a movie ever, but that would have been a 5 minute video, maybe even a 3 minute video, because all that is saying the first time you remember going to the movies and you're done. Well, the more I thought about it, the more that I realized that myself personally, I've always broken down going to the movies in 4 different categories. My first memory of going to the movies, the first time that I remember seeing a movie all the way through, the first time that a movie was magical, and the first time that a movie left me wanting more. So, we're going to talk about all 4 of those movies for me today in each of those categories. So, first up is the very first memory that I ever have of going to the movies. No idea what year this was, but I do remember where it was. It was at a theater in my local mall here in Ohio, actually in the mall, in Dayton Mall. Of course, that theater no longer exists because there are no more theaters in the mall, unless I'm wrong. If you live somewhere where your theater is actually physically still in the mall, comment down below and let me know that. Our theater, of course, is now by the mall, but not in the mall. But this particular theater was in the actual mall, and it was my Aunt Violet and Uncle Woody taking me to the movies as a kid. They helped raise me, and we did all kinds of stuff together. And this is the first time that I remember going to the movies. And you know what they say about memories? Memories aren't always a good thing. Sometimes they're just a memory because they won't go away. And that is the case here. Now you might be thinking, well, Josh, you're in the movie TV pundit space. You mean to say that your very first memory of going to a movie isn't a good memory? Well, unfortunately, yes. Because the very first time that I remember going to the movie with Aunt Violet and Uncle Woody at the mall was a reshowing of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the, of course, very first Disney animated classic from the year 1937. Now, of course, me being born in 1979, this was a reshowing, as I believe I just mentioned. But if I didn't, I want to drive that point home because back in the day, there was no DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K Blu-ray, or even VHS, or Betamax, or Laserdisc. If you missed the movie when it was first out theatrically, you had to go and see the movie whenever they would put it back out. And for big movies, they would often re-release them. And that was the case here with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, why is this very first memory that I seem to have of going to the movies an unpleasant one? Well, simply because I got scared. The image that you see in the thumbnail, if you've seen the thumbnail of this video, is of Snow White with the evil queen disguised as the witch who gives her the poison apple. And as little kids, you have no control over what scares you and it often comes out of nowhere. And in the case of the evil queen disguised as a witch, that witch gave me nightmares for years to come. And I remember very distinctly my Aunt Violet and Uncle Woody having to carry me out of the movie theater because I was crying over being scared of that witch. And years later, I would see, maybe not years later, maybe it was actually that same year, but I would see that witch in my ceiling, in my dreams. She just scared the daylights out of me as a kid. Of course, now I've gone back and seen Snow White a number of times without being scared and realized how silly that was. But as a kid, as I say, there's nothing about those situations that you can control. So that is my first memory of going to a movie. So then what was the movie that for the first time ever was magic? Was me realizing I didn't know a movie could do that. Well, for me, that movie was Steven Spielberg's E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Because even though I knew that there was no such thing, even back then, as an alien inside a kid's room, living with them that they had to get back home, the emotional roller coaster and the connection that I felt with E.T. has always left me the exact same way. So I have always had wonderful memories of E.T., and I cannot wait to see E.T. every time it comes on TV or every time I feel like putting in my Blu-ray. Hey, what's up, Crosstalk on YouTube? How are you? Thanks for joining me. Anyway, as I was saying, E.T. is, oh, sorry, forgot to put your comment up there on screen, brother. Hold on. There you go. Always like to give my viewers the love. So E.T.'s memory never goes away from me because it was magical. The connection to that alien, the sadness that I felt over that alien never went away. And I rode that ride at Universal Studios in Florida when I went to Universal Studios in Florida as a kid countless times, as I did as the ride for this next movie that we're going to talk about. And that is when a movie leaves you wanting more. Now, when a movie leaves you wanting more, it means that it's told a good story, a story that was so gripping and so enthralling that you're like, that cannot be the end of the story. Where's the rest? And although when I went, because it was originally during its original theatrical run, at the time there was no to be continued on the end of the film because they didn't know there was going to be a part 2 and a part 3. That movie to me was the first movie in my favorite movie trilogy of all time. Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, starring, and Robert Zemeckis directing, and Steven Spielberg executive producing Back to the Future. Such a great story, and Marty goes back to his home in 1985. Everything's all changed, and then Doc comes out of nowhere, and it's like, Marty, you gotta go back with me. Back where? You gotta go back to the future. Well, what happens to me and Jennifer in the future, Doc? Nothing, Marty. You and Jennifer turn out fine. It's your kids, Marty. Something's got to be done about your kids. So you hear that and you're like, well, what happened to his kids? What's wrong with his kids? I got to know what happened to his kids. So that was the first time that a movie was such a great story that it left me wanting more. And next up, you have to talk about the first time that you ever remember seeing a movie all the way through. Sorry, folks. A little bit of a drainage there. But the first time that you remember seeing a movie all the way through, because that also can be the memory for you if you're a true cinephile, if you're someone who their memories of movies have become something that you don't just enjoy, but also something that you know that has such an impact on your life that you want to continue to do it over and over and over again and again, leave you thinking, I didn't know that movies had the ability to do that. So, the final movie that we're going to talk about here today that fits in that category is Blade Runner, based on the Philip K. Dick novel Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. Now, I have no idea how old I was when I first saw this movie, but I do remember going with my father, and I do remember being far too young because I guess for whatever reason, my dad didn't realize that this film was rated R because I distinctly remember him panically covering my eyes at certain scenes of the film. And if you've seen the film, of course, you know what scenes would not be appropriate for a younger aged boy. But the thing that makes this movie really stand out was up until that point, I'd only ever seen one science fiction movie, and that was Star Wars, or as it's more commonly, unfortunately known these days, Star Wars Episode 4 A New Hope. So to me, that was science fiction. That was space battles. That was the world that doesn't exist in our world, but it's a fun fantasy. So the reason this movie was like, hold on, we got more from Crosstalk, which I'll do here in a second as I wrap up the video here. But anyway, as I was saying, the thing about Blade Runner was the fact that I'd only ever seen Star Wars, and I didn't know that there was another movie that could fit in a science fiction genre that was so vastly different than Star Wars. Because, yeah, that was set in the future. Yeah, that was set in a time with androids and everything else, but it was nothing like Star Wars whatsoever. But it was such an engaging story that I wanted more. And I thought, was that the same type of movie as Star Wars? Well, it had to be, right? Because it is a movie that's not real. It's fiction and it has science in it. So it's science fiction. So that was the first time that I ever realized that movie genre existed. And that left such an impact on me that I continued to go forward with my love of film. So those are my thoughts of the four different categories of what it is for your earliest and first movie memories that make them impactful and the ones that affected me. So before I sign off, I want to read the live comment here from Crosstalk. Crosstalk says, yeah, dude, viewing can become habits because we attach meaning to them. Pair bonding even with art. Humans are strange creatures. It can benefit us to do so, though. I love E.T. Well, there you go. E.T. exactly has the exact same effect on Cross Talk, and also he loves the human interaction and the memories that can come from going to the movies and associates the exact same things with me and agrees with me that movie going is a very, very healthy experience. So thank you, man. I appreciate that. And I hope I pronounced your username right, by the way. If I didn't, let me know afterwards in the comments down below. So that's it, everybody. That's today's video. Do let me know if you're watching the replay how you would break down these four categories of film going and what your earliest and first memories are of going to the movies. As always, if you're watching on YouTube and this was your first time here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell notification icon so that you don't miss out on any of the future Geektastic fun. And once the replay fully processes, you can click on the end screen. To do so by clicking the round subscribe icon, you can check out the video that YouTube recommends is best for you, the viewer, and you can check out some of my previous work. And as I always like to say, life is only as good as what you choose to make it. So make the choice to go out and do something great today.